Someone accidentally became famous in their pajamas, and it wasn't their fault.
Okay, so I pressed the button. I thought I pressed the button, I didn't press the button.
400 strangers watched me talk to a pigeon, and I didn't even know.
Inspired by the kind of story you'd find on Reddit. Imagine waking up on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning, making yourself a cup of tea, shuffling into your back garden in your oldest pajamas, the ones with the little ducks on, and then discovering, several hours later, that approximately 400 strangers had been watching you the entire time.
400 I cannot. I genuinely cannot. That is my actual nightmare, Oliver. My actual specific duck pajama nightmare.
Okay, but wait, in my defense, and I do have a defense, I had absolutely no idea the live stream was still running. Like, I thought I'd ended it. I 100% thought I'd pressed the button.
And there it is. Jake thought he'd pressed the button. Spoiler, he had not pressed the button. Welcome, everyone, to English Through Stories. I'm Oliver, this is Jake, and the woman currently hiding behind a cushion is Sophie. Today's story is about neighbors, technology, and one catastrophic failure to read a screen. Let's begin.
I'm not hiding, I'm just resting my face on a cushion while I relive my trauma.
So the whole thing starts because I'd been setting up this new camera system, like a proper outdoor security camera, the kind you mount on your wall and connect to your phone. And I was super excited because I'd finally got it working, and I decided to do a little test live stream to my social media, just to check the video quality, see if the resolution was good. Resolution, that's like how sharp and clear the image is. Higher resolution means you can see more detail.
A completely reasonable thing to do. Jake set up his security camera, started a live stream to test the resolution, the sharpness and clarity of the video, and then, as one does, went inside to make a sandwich, assuming he'd switched it off.
He had not switched it off.
I had not switched it off. But here's the thing, the camera was pointed at my garden, right? And my garden shares a fence with Sophie's garden. And Sophie's garden was, how do I put this? In the frame.
In the frame, I was dead in the frame. The whole frame, actually. Jake's garden was barely even visible. It was just me, full Sophie, live on the internet.
For our learners, when something is in the frame, it means it's visible within the camera's view. The frame is the rectangular area the camera captures, and Sophie was, as she says, very much in it. Now, the camera was connected to Jake's phone via an app. That's an application, a piece of software you run on a device. And this particular app had a rather enthusiastic notification system.
Yeah, so the app, and this is the bit I didn't fully understand. The app had this feature where if your live stream gets more than like 50 viewers, it sends you a notification. A notification is basically a little alert that pops up on your screen to tell you something's happened. And I had my phone on silent, so I missed like 6 notifications.
6. He missed 6 notifications telling him that hundreds of people were watching me potter around my garden in my duck pajamas, eating a Jaffa cake and talking to a pigeon.
You were talking to a pigeon.
His name is Gerald and he comes every morning, and yes, I talk to him. That is not the point, Jake.
The point, as Oliver gently steers us back, is that Sophie spent approximately 40 minutes in her garden, completely unaware that she had an audience. And what an audience it was, because here is where the story becomes truly magnificent. Jake's live stream, which he'd advertised as a security camera test, had been picked up and shared by a tech enthusiast forum. They were, apparently, very interested in the camera's resolution.
They kept commenting like, wow, the resolution on this is incredible, you can see every detail, and this is the best image quality I've seen from a budget camera, and honestly, as a camera review it was going really well.
As a camera review it was going really well. I'm going to remember that sentence forever, possibly on my gravestone.
Now, Sophie, tell us what you were actually doing during those 40 minutes, and please, do not spare any detail.
Right, so, I went out to water my plants. That's fine, that's normal. Then I found a snail on my tomato plant and I had a full out-loud debate with myself about whether to move it or leave it. I moved it. Then I sat on my garden chair and I was eating my Jaffa cake, one Jaffa cake, I'm not a monster, and I was on my phone trying to fix my Bluetooth speaker. A Bluetooth speaker is one of those wireless speakers, yeah. It connects to your phone without any cables, using Bluetooth technology. Mine kept disconnecting.
And the comments, okay, I feel terrible, I genuinely do, but the comments during the Bluetooth speaker bit were like people trying to help. They were typing suggestions, like try turning it off and on again, and check if it's paired correctly. Paired meaning connected to your device.
I did not receive those suggestions because I did not know I was on a live stream. I was just sat there in my garden looking frustrated at a speaker, and 400 people thought they were helping.
412, to be precise, at peak viewership. And this is where the story reaches what I can only describe as its magnificent, terrible climax. Sophie, still in the duck pajamas, still unaware of her audience, decided to do something that would become, according to the comments, quote, the funniest thing they'd ever seen on a tech stream.
I don't want to say it.
Sophie, you have to say it.
Fine, my Bluetooth speaker wasn't working. So I decided to check if maybe the problem was with the audio output settings on my phone. Audio output, that's where the sound comes out of, like which device your phone is sending the sound to, and I couldn't figure it out. So I looked up a YouTube tutorial. Out loud. I sat in my garden and I watched a YouTube tutorial about Bluetooth speakers, and I repeated all the steps out loud to myself. Like a little tech support presenter, in duck pajamas, to Gerald the pigeon.
And the chat, oh my God, the chat was going absolutely wild. People were like, she's teaching us now, and best tech tutorial I've ever watched, and someone made a fan art. They made fan art, in real time, of Sophie and the pigeon.
There is fan art of me and Gerald on the internet. That is a sentence I now have to live with.
There is indeed. Now, how did Sophie find out? Because she didn't find out from Jake, did she? Jake, who had 6 unread notifications on his phone, was inside eating his sandwich, absolutely none the wiser.
Okay, so this is genuinely the worst part for me personally. I found out because my mum texted me, my actual mum. She sent me a screenshot. A screenshot is when you capture an image of what's currently on your screen. She sent me a screenshot of the live stream with the caption, "Is that your neighbor? She seems lovely. Also, what are duck pajamas?" And I looked at my phone and I felt my stomach drop.
His mum saw me. His mum watched me argue with a snail.
Jake immediately ran to the app and ended the stream. He then had to make what is surely one of the more unusual neighborly visits in recent history.
I knocked on her door and I honestly had no idea how to start that conversation. I was like, "Hey Sophie, so funny story. I was testing my security camera earlier." A security camera is like a surveillance camera. It records video to help keep your home safe. And I accidentally streamed your garden for 40 minutes, and now there is fan art of you and a pigeon on the internet. And I am so incredibly sorry.
And I just stood there. I proper just stood there at the door. I couldn't even be angry because I was too confused. I was like, say that again, slowly.
Sophie took a moment, several moments actually, and then she did something rather wonderful.
I asked to see the comments.
She asked to see the comments, and I showed her and she started laughing, like genuinely laughing, because the comments were so nice. People were saying things like, "This woman is the content I didn't know I needed," and "Please someone tell her she has a fan base," and "Gerald the pigeon deserves his own channel."
Okay, listen, I was mortified. I am still mortified. But also, Gerald does deserve his own channel. He's got dead good screen presence.
Screen presence, that's the natural ability to be engaging and watchable on camera, and apparently Gerald has it. Now, for the lesson moment buried in all of this chaos, Jake, you want to walk us through what actually went wrong with the tech, because it's a surprisingly useful thing to understand.
Yeah, so basically the app I was using, it was a streaming app, software that lets you broadcast live video to other people over the internet. It had this setting where the stream only ends when you manually press end broadcast. I thought closing the app would stop it. It didn't. The stream was still running in the background. Background means it's still working even when you can't see it on your screen. A lot of apps do this. They keep running in the background even when you switch to something else.
So the lesson for everyone at home is, always check that your stream has actually ended before you walk away. Do not assume. Do not trust yourself. Look at the screen. Confirm it says stream ended. Because otherwise your neighbor will become an accidental tech influencer and there will be fan art.
An influencer, That's someone who has a large online following and affects what people think or buy, usually through social media. Sophie became one accidentally and briefly. And speaking of which, Sophie, there's something you haven't told them yet.
Oh God, right. So, a week later, Jake felt so bad that he offered to help me set up my own proper streaming setup with actual good lighting and a decent microphone. A microphone, that's the device that captures your voice for recording or broadcasting. And I did one intentional garden stream. Just me, my plants, my Bluetooth speaker which now works, and Gerald.
Tell them the numbers, Sophie.
800 viewers, live, watching me water tomatoes and talk to a pigeon, on purpose. I nearly fainted.
The resolution on her camera was incredible, by the way. Really high-quality image. Crisp. The tech forum loved it.
I'm going to kill you, Jake.
And on that note, let's quickly recap the vocabulary we've covered today, because we snuck quite a few in there. Resolution, the sharpness and clarity of a camera's image. Notification, a little alert that pops up on your device to tell you something's happened. Bluetooth, a wireless technology that connects devices without cables. Audio output, the setting that controls where sound is sent from your device. Screenshot, a captured image of what's on your screen. Security camera, a camera used for surveillance to keep a place safe. Streaming apps software that lets you broadcast live video over the internet, running in the background when an app continues working even when you're not looking at it. Microphone, a device that captures your voice for recording or broadcasting. And screen presence, the natural ability to be engaging and watchable on camera. Gerald, apparently, has it in abundance.
He really does. He's a very handsome pigeon.
I still feel bad, but also honestly, it worked out. Sophie has a fan base now, and my camera review got like 2,000 views, which was genuinely not the plan, but I'll take it.
You are on very thin ice, Jake. Very thin ice. But yes, fine, it worked out. Not wrong with a bit of accidental fame, I suppose, as long as I've got decent pajamas on next time.
The duck pajamas, for the record, have since retired. They've been replaced by what Sophie describes as presentable loungewear. That's character development right there. Thank you for listening to English Through Stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a comment, share it with someone learning English, and remember, always check that your live stream has actually ended. We'll see you next time.
And give Gerald a follow. He deserves it.
He genuinely does. Dead good
Did this
screen
make you
presence.
laugh? Drop us a like.
Hit follow and never miss a story.
Subscribe to English Through Stories. Find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. See you on the next episode.